Welcome to Books and What We Choose with Danielle and Dami.
Take a seat, grab a book, and come read with us.
Yay.
We are so excited.
So if
Yay.
you are coming in here fresh, have no idea who the hell we are, we actually have a different podcast talking about news, what we watched, pop culture stuff, all the fun stuff. But realized we need to have a separate book or a separate like book only type of deal because one, some people only really like to turn on for books and they want to hear about the latest reads and people's opinions because I personally like to know about the shows I watched and the people who read the books and their opinions on that. So I figure we can
Why
do the
not?
same.
I feel like there's also like you read a book or you watch a show and all you want to do is talk about it with somebody who's also read it or knows about it. And I think this is like an attempt to create that community to just talk about some of our favorite things,
Yeah.
and inspire other people to either read it or tell us what we're not reading and we should be reading. Yes, so I'm so excited.
That I would actually really
Yeah.
appreciate if you guys put your recommendations in the
Yeah.
comments because I'm also, and I'll talk about this at the end, like I'm not sure what to read next. So
Mhm.
recommend, please.
Love it. I have a list too. So if you really like,
Oh,
you could, I feel like I could go like this in my like reading list and I'd be totally fine. But, but I'm like, I'm already like 5 books booked like after this one. And I'm like, oh man, there's like not enough time in the day to get to them all. But I'm so excited. And I definitely want to hear what other people are reading too.
yes.
Um, okay. So let's strap into our metaphorical dragon saddles because I'm going to be talking about Fourth Wing and Iron Flame. And I did start Black Onyx as well, but I didn't finish it, so I won't talk about it this time. So this time we're talking about 2 books, and then Danielle read Verity. So total 3 books today.
Yeah.
So basically, I'm going to start. In a nutshell, this book, Fourth Wing, is a series of 3 books. Violet is our main character. And I should also warn you, if you are listening to this and you haven't read this and you want to read it, there will be spoilers.
Yes. For
So,
all the books we're discussing, there
yeah.
will be spoilers.
Yeah, I think this is I guess now that we're like saying this, maybe this is more for people who either one hate surprises or two want to have that sense of community to talk about the books that they've read. You know what I mean?
Well, and
Because
all the things I've ever watched is like they'll literally just say spoiler at the top and then they'll
yeah,
go into all the details, the things that you will only know if you read the book or if you
totally.
actually do want to get spoiled.
Okay, yeah, fair. So
Yeah.
you hate surprises, which is fine. I understand. Okay, so Violet Soaringale is our lead in this book, and she I feel like the way that the first book starts out with her, you can feel how young she is. It feels almost like wrong as someone my age to like to read it. Like you're like, this feels awkward, like almost like watching a show about teenagers, you know?
On
Like you're like,
campus.
oh, you're like, I don't know. But as it develops, she is growing and coming into her own. So here's the thing. So she's basically forced into enrollment as this Gaiath War College, despite she has a very fragile body. So they talk about how small she is compared to other people at this college. It's a dragon college. It's meant for writers. Um, this brutal quadrant system that the school has basically actively kills or tries to kill off students in order to like make them stronger because they're going to be riding dragons. So they're trying to like weed out people. And she's forced into this by her mother, who is the general of the college. And so it's got this weird dynamic where like Violet and her family have grown up in this college. Like she lived on campus, and her father was a scribe. So she was like raised to be a scribe, meaning that she is like living basically in a library, writing down like what are the happenings and the events. And the way that they set the scene is like this war college is at war with this other group of people who are not riders. They're called oh goodness, I'm blanking, but they ride these like griffins. So they're flyers, sorry, and riders. So flyers, dragons, riders, griffins. The griffins don't fly. And so they're like raised to basically hate each other. And what you end up finding out is that a lot of the history between these two cultures have been erased. And that's been done by the scribes, who Violet was like raised to basically become one, except for she's then thrown into the college. She's told that, no, you're going to be a dragon writer now. I may be fucking this up as far as like flyers and writers now, and I'm gonna like go and Google it. So please don't come at me. I'm so sorry
And
that
there
I'm
may be a
blanking.
correction corner on the
There
next
will be a
episode.
correction corner. Okay, so let's talk about the love and spiciness interest. Our love interest is Zayden Ryerson. They describe him as being like dark, tall, and handsome and mysterious. But she is actually told day one as she goes into the college, like, do not trust, don't even be near him because he's gonna try and kill you because of what our mother did to him and his dad. So you're
So
like,
of course
well,
it's like, of course they're going to be attracted to each other because it's the person you shouldn't be with.
instantly. Basically, she sees him on her way to the parapet, which the parapet is like this like giant crossing of, I imagine a bridge, but I really don't know. I'm curious what other people imagine. I've like seen some fan art and I'm like, what the fuck is a parapet? Like,
Yeah, because
what?
when you just say it, how do you spell para? Is it para like the fruit?
No, it's P parapet Parpet. Okay. So the meaning is a low protective barrier that extends vertically as an upward extension of an exterior wall at the edge of a roof or terrace or balcony. Okay, or bridge. I was right. Okay,
Okay,
parapet
so yeah, you're right.
in fourth wing. I'm gonna look up what did people. Okay. Okay. So hold on. Let me see if I can send you this
And
picture.
I'll include the link in the description.
Super. Um. Ah, sorry. That was not it. Super like narrow stone wall, stone bridge, I should say, between high up between like two buildings.
Oh,
Um,
I've been blocked by security network. If you think this has been blocked by
rude.
mistake, file it, ticket below.
Okay,
Interesting.
never mind. Hold
Well,
on,
use
there's
your
more.
imagination.
Use your imagination. It's fine. People online have created wonderful fan art. So
Yeah.
they do this challenge. They tell the students, we're doing this challenge because you basically have to jump onto a dragon eventually. So like we want to make sure like you can do it. Um so it's like kids are falling off, dying to their deaths. Like it's just like brutal. Um, totally brutal. So anyway, so she basically like from the beginning because of her size, everyone is underestimating her and they call them first years who are like entering in. They're known for killing off the weaker person just based off of like size, missteps that they might do, mistakes that they might make. So she's like in this horrible environment where like her life is at stake and it could be taken just like based off of anyone. And she ends up making a few enemies along the way. Um, and she like comes up with this mantra of like basically she's not dying today. And of course, because she's our leading lady, she ends up making it. And then she has to start learning to like instead of using just her brains to survive, this college that she's actually starts to like train and she makes friends and she also starts to enlist the help of Xaden in this like very kind of unique way where she finds out a secret about him. And then he basically like could kill her on the spot. But instead, they like form this alliance and he starts training her and it becomes very sexy as far as like the training goes. Um yeah, so anyways,
And this is all fourth wing.
this is all fourth wing. Yeah. This is all in
And
the
is in
first.
comparison to the sexy scenes to Akatar, what would you say so far is like first book of Akatar and then fourth wing? Which one is more the sexy, spicy level?
That's a hard one. So like I think Akotar and Fourth Wing, just this first book, probably there's because okay, in Akotar there's like one or two spicy scenes, and then basically like Farah gets like put into like servitude basically.
Yeah.
Um, and then with this one, they have a little bit more spicier scenes, but then I just cannot scrub. What was it like the fourth book in the
Oh,
Akatar series, where it just was like I forget. I've seen this online where someone does like three peppers, like max peppers, okay, five peppers. Like what the hell? Like
like
that
this
was
was the
some
ghost pepper.
sexy ass shit.
Okay, and
Where I
also
was,
if
yeah,
you're listening to this and you're like, what are you talking about? This is your first episode. So the reason why we branched off into this separate books and what we choose is because on our other podcast, News and What We Choose, we did talk for probably, I want to say like 5 or 6 collective episodes, what Damiana read. At that point, I wasn't reading. I know how to read, but I wasn't reading. So Damiana was giving her what she read situation, and that's why we realized we were like, you know what, we should branch off. And so this would also encourage me to read. So if you're interested in her take on the Akatar series, venture on over there,
yeah.
and give it a whirl because she definitely goes into detail about the spiciness, the battles, and all the things.
Yeah, that one was so good. That's okay, and I apologize because my brain is like out with the old, in with the new. So there's things that I remember and some things that I don't, but that's the one where her sister and well, yeah, like all the names are gone now in my brain. But like
Aw.
it's like her story and her love story, and they are spicy, very spicy. But this one's good too. Like there's some sexy substance in it. So I would recommend it, but it definitely leans more on like the dragon riding portion of it, which is really cool because it gives off like medieval dragon, like our what's it called?
House of the
Like Game of
Dragon.
Thrones, yeah, House of the Dragons. Like it's kind of got that element. There's a quote here I'll read that they say a lot is a dragon without its rider is a tragedy, a rider without their dragon is dead. Um I should also say, okay, so in this is like spoiler alerts. So the reason why Xaden and Violet end up becoming intertwined is because after she crosses the parapet, after um she has to like scale this like massive contraption. She's like tiny, tiny, and like it's just not built for her. And she like figures out a way using her wits. And then after like all of these, you know, adversaries. Oh my God, sorry.
Adversaries?
Yes, sure, that sounds right. She like is really proving herself, and so then it's time for I think they call it threshing. So like basically where their dragons choose them. And so they have to go out as like first years into like this like I'm imagining like a field, but it's just like all of these massive dragons, and they have to pass them until like a dragon basically chooses them or eats them, or nobody, or they don't get chosen by anyone. And so she ends up seeing there ends up being like this like smaller golden dragon, and everyone's kind of like making fun of it. And they're like, why is this like little golden dragon even out here? Like, they're not supposed to bond with with people yet, like when they're little, and just seemed like maybe like they couldn't fly. And so anyway, so she sees this golden dragon on this like main day where you're supposed to pick your dragon picks you. And she notices that like one of her like enemies that she makes is like going after it. And so she defends the dragon and then she ends up like I think killing one of the guys who's like trying to kill the dragon. And then the biggest dragon who wasn't supposed to bond with anyone, he's a black dragon, goes and like shows up and basically like defends her and then she like gets chosen by him and the golden dragon. So her and Xaden are tied because her black dragon um is mated to Xaden's dragon. So then they end up being able to like all be intertwined. So I read that quote, a dragon without its rider is a tragedy, but a rider without their dragon is dead, is that if one of them dies, then they all die. So they end up like having to like really watch each other's backs and they create like they're trying to like not have this romantic connection, but they obviously can't fight it. And then there's all this like sexy, sexy love scenes. And yeah, it's good. I would highly recommend it. And then the second book I'll say like
Well,
is kind of more
how
of the
so
same.
out of five
Yes.
stars or 5 books, how would you rate Fourth Wing?
I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 4 out of 5.
okay,
Or
okay.
I'm going to take that back. I'm going to give it a 5 out of 5. And then that I'm going to say that the second one, the
Called
Iron
what?
Flame,
Okay.
is 4 out of 5.
So correct me if I'm wrong, because I have not read any of these. The golden, not the golden, the Fourth Wing is the golden and black book, or the like yellowish black book. Iron Flame is more of like the silver and black book, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it.
Um, yeah, so I think that the second book is just it has the tone has changed, right? It's a little bit darker, there's higher stakes. Um,
Does
they
it
bring
pick
in
up
like
where the first one left off? Or is it like a
it
completely new story kind of thing?
no, it does. Yeah, it picks up from where
Same
they left
people,
off.
same
Yeah,
characters. Okay,
same
okay.
characters. It's just more character development. Basically, your Zayden is like in a different year, and so he graduates, but they end up finding each other in like different spots. So like where they pick up is in his home. I guess it wouldn't be like a country. It's not really a town, home city. That was supposed to be burnt by her mother and folks. And so
Well,
this is like a city that's like not even supposed to exist anymore. And she also finds out that her brother who had died 4 years ago wasn't dead and that he's living with in this city with Zayden and his like council. Yeah,
wow.
so it turns into more like where they become like a riot. So they're breaking off from this Gaiath college and they are basically saying like there's more to the story than what's being told. I kind of alluded to that in the beginning of saying that a lot of the history between like these different people um are have been erased and rewritten and there's like so much more that like of a common enemy versus like fighting each other. And so the college and like the younger generations are basically saying like, hey, we don't want to not protect everyone like just because of some imaginary like bullshit line. Like we want to go and make sure like everyone is safe from this um basically like evil force, which ends up being called the venom. So there's
Oh,
more, but yeah, it's like hard to talk about all of it in like, a set amount of time. Not that we have a set amount of time, but I don't want to like bore
no.
the shit out of everyone, but just It's so good. There's a lot of elements, lots of layers.
And how many books are in the series? Because I remember there was like a coworker of mine literally took the day off when the newest book came out, like so she can read the whole
Oh,
thing in
wow.
one day. So how many books are in the series?
Only three.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I don't know if there's another book that's said to come out, but
No, a new one just came out, I want to say within the last 6 months.
okay, that makes sense. But there is obviously, if you are following Fourth Wing, you might already know this. There's a full series of Fourth Wing adaptation that has been greenlighted from Prime, with Michael B. Jordan as the like production like lead on it. So, not to star in it from what I know, but they are in casting right now. There's been a lot of different rumors on who. The gentleman, the rocker guy from off campus, what's his name?
Oh,
Josh something.
Justin, real name
Justin?
Joshua.
Yes. He is rumored to play Zayden, but I'm not sure if that's going to be true because what they've said is from Rebecca Yaros, who is the writer, she's mentioned that she wants Zayden to be a person of color. Not that he's not, but isn't he like Australian? I feel like that's
He's
kind of like a,
Australian, but he looks kind of like Egyptian.
yeah. Um,
Like
yeah,
to
so I don't
me, he
know.
doesn't look like if I were to see a picture of him, I would be like, he's white.
Yeah, I don't know. I, I'm not sure. I wouldn't mind. That's fine. But I'm excited to see it come. I like out. I want to see how they take each of these like characters, how they develop them, how are they going to make the dragons look like? To me, in my head, it should be menacing and cool because it's a brutal kind of tone, right? Like you're going into college and you could die any day.
So, and it needs that dark element, right?
It does, yeah. And I think like it can't be done cheaply. Like it has to be done
No.
right. You know,
And
like
I feel like you said Amazon Prime, right?
hmm
I feel like Amazon Prime has been doing a pretty good job of like book to screen adaptions.
yeah.
And I'm hoping with like all of the, kind of gunning for these awesome, conversions over to the screen and all of this, that
hmm
maybe they'll put more money into it for really good quality CGI, really good, details for the visuals of it all, the bridge you were just talking about, like
Parapet.
yeah. Like I'm hoping that they really put like if this is as big as it really is in the literary world, people are already going to go in it with the highest of highest expectations, so they really need to meet it.
I totally agree. Yeah. It's good. It's just got some really nice elements. I'm sorry, I'm like blinking. Why am I blinking on Taryn's? Taryn is her black dragon.
Okay.
Taryn has some great one-liners just like as you're reading it that are like so snarky and hilarious. And I can see like anyone reading this just kind of cracking up at him. Like I can that too also has to be done so well in the show because they talk to each other like through their minds. And
Oh,
he has a lot of character. Like she even says, like, I can't see him, but I can just like hear his like eyebrow raising or, like him chuckling or scoffing at her. Um, and yeah, she becomes just like this, like really the character development of like starting off of that, like kind of, oh, should I be watching, like listening to this or reading this? Like it feels really young to like where, the book kind of takes you in the third book, are like almost night and day. And she's stepping into like her own and becoming her own like powerful entity. So,
and is she
um,
same ages? She's like always in her 20s throughout the whole three books.
I think so because she starts off at 19. Yeah,
Okay, so
and they
it's not
don't
like time
jump
jumps or
too much.
anything.
No, they don't time jump, but from what I've seen so far, or read so far, like not really. So those
Question.
are pretty young.
Do you foresee the show, or is this going to be a show or a movie?
Show.
Show. Do you foresee the show needing to be a narrated show, or is it a show that could be acted out without narration?
Mm. No, I think it'll be acted out, but that could be like a cool element too.
Have a narrator?
Yeah, I mean, I could see that as
Because do
well.
the dragons talk to each other?
They do. Yep, they definitely
That's what
do.
I'm
Yeah.
wondering. Like, is there going to be a dragon voices?
I hope
Or,
so. Yeah, because that's how they do. I'm
yeah.
listening to the book, so that's like how they do it too in the book is like and Darna and Taryn are talking to each other, and Darna is her golden um dragon who actually is younger and ends up being this like very unique breed of dragons that's like almost like, extinct, but she goes through um like almost like a teenager phase of her life. And it's like so funny because she's just like spitting off and just being annoying like teenager to Taryn, who's like this old stern like dragon. And so they're having this like banter, and then Violet's having banter, and Xaden can also talk to his dragon, obviously with his mind, but also to Violet within like their mind. So it has to have some kind of like element like that.
I'm wondering how they're going to do that, where
Yeah.
it doesn't come across cheesy.
Totally. Yeah, so I love it. I don't know if like you hearing all about it will make you not want to read it, or if you'll want to read it. Like yeah.
Okay,
It's good though. Maybe you'll
I'm
watch the
gonna
show.
I'm gonna watch
Yeah.
the show. We'll definitely talk about the show together. And then you
Okay.
could be the girl that's like, all right, here are the differences between the book and the show. And then I'll be like, ah, I can see where that would be better, or oh, I like how the change they made. So I feel
hmm
like you'll be good on that. I'm kind of excited to watch it because of the fact that I only know what I know because of you.
Yes, I love that.
And I'm just gonna say right now, methinks you can get the best of both worlds. You're gonna get the fantasy dragons, the fantasy spicy books from Damiana, and then I think I'm gonna stick into my lane of psychological thrillers, and potentially
Yes.
the off-campus series, so whatever you would categorize that.
Mhm.
Um, because that, like I said, I need the recommendation. Should I start the off-campus series, or should I give me a psychological thriller I need to read? Because I read Verity, and it definitely is a psychological thriller. Definitely, 100%. It had twists, turns, scandal, death,
Love it.
lots of death.
Wow.
It was filled with, I was aghast. Um, so first and foremost, again, a lot of spoilers coming your way. So there were like immediately starts off with like a death scene. Somebody gets hit with a car, head goes
hmm
through the windshield, the whole thing. This is the meet cute of the two main characters. So it's gonna be of Jeremy, and then it's gonna be of Lowen. So spoiler alert, I started reading this knowing damn well who the people were going to be, the actors who are going to play the characters in the movie. So I
Oh.
read it with the idea of the visuals of who they were going to be.
Mhm.
So tell me if I'm wrong, but I think they fit. Like, I think they fit totally perfectly. But if you read it without knowing who was casted, who did you picture playing those roles? Because right now we have Jeremy is going to be Josh Hartnett,
Okay.
Lowen is Dakota Johnson, and then Verity is Anne Hathaway. Now, everyone said, as the comments seen so far on like other people's stuff, they think Verity nailed it 100%. It's Anne Hathaway. Jeremy, oh, for sure. I can see it being Josh Hartnett. A lot of people, it's a 50-50 split. Lowen, some people are saying that, I can't really see Dakota Johnson playing Lowen. And then other people are like, yeah, I can totally see her playing Lowen. So I just don't know any better because I already went into it thinking that's her. So the whole time I'm reading this, the whole time I'm listening to it, I read half of it and then I had to put on Audible so I can get through it. Um, only have so many hours in the day.
hmm
So I already had this visual of like them being the characters. So basically, the meet cute happens with Lowen and Jeremy, and then Lowen is a writer. She is now being hired by Jeremy to finish Verity's book. Verity is bedridden. She's been in an accident. She's hooked up to machines. She does not walk. She does not talk. She's basically a vegetable in the home.
Mm.
So because Lowen is going to basically pick up where Verity left off and write her book kind of thing, Lowen is then brought into their home to live. And of course, because this is narrated by Lowen, you already know she's very attractive to Jeremy.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, this is going to then lead into not good things because he is technically married to
Wait,
Verity.
what is Lowen and Verity's relationship? I missed that part.
So Lowen is the writer that Jeremy meets by that freak meet cute accident. And
Okay.
it happens that they were going to the same place to meet.
Okay.
Because at the publisher, because
Oh,
he had read her work and thought that she had a great voice to cover what Verity couldn't finish because of the
okay.
accident. So
Oh, I see. I see. I see. So she's like brought in to write. I
yeah,
see.
so
Got
she's brought in to write. Now she's in the house.
it. Mm-hmm.
Weird things are happening. She finds a manuscript hidden of Verity's. And this is where there's like a back and forth. So there's Lowen going throughout her day at the Verity's home with Jeremy. Then she's reading a chapter of the manuscript between each chapter of the Lowen's perspective. It is insanity what she reads. Like there are scenes of like I can visualize certain scenes where I'm like, this is gonna be dark as There is a scene where Verity goes into detail of her trying to use a wire hanger on herself and a knitting
Ooh.
needle to try to have a miscarriage and get rid of her pregnancy because she didn't want to have her husband's attention on anyone else but her. And so she viewed the babies as a hindrance. And this is like harsh because she's pregnant with twins. So methinks you probably, it would hit
Yeah.
close to home.
Uh-huh.
But yeah, so to the point where she did such damage that one of the babies came out with a scar on its face.
Oh my God.
And she
Oof.
was like hospitalized, all this shit, and the baby still survived. So she's like, wow, they really. And so she always had this like vendetta against these children. Like she really thought that like they were, and it's really heartbreaking, like reading this as a mother.
Yeah.
Like they weren't asked to be born. And she's like viewing them as like their curses on her and her relationship because he always puts the babies first. He no longer puts me first. And she writes this in like the chapters that Lowen is reading that Verity wrote. And then and the each chapter, it's just like you don't think it can get darker, and it does because what happens is she has three kids. And when Lowen originally meets Jeremy, they do have a discussion like because they met with the guy getting hit by a car when he was crossing the street, and then they go into this like diner bathroom, and she's
Mhm.
like trying to clean up. He offers her his button-up shirt, and then they have this like kind of back and forth little chatter while like she's cleaning off the blood off of her face. And she's like, "Oh, is this the most traumatic thing you've ever had?" He's like, "Well, no, my two children died."
Oh,
So you already go into it knowing that his two children died, and then you start hearing like Verity's
how it
journal
happens.
entries,
Yeah.
and you're like, holy shit, did she kill her two kids? There's
Mm-hmm.
only one surviving kid at the point of her moving into the house.
Mm-hmm.
And she didn't realize like what happened yet to the other kids until she's reading and like unfolding all of these journal entries and stuff. So there's also a scene in the journal entry where Verity goes into detail about how like she literally fantasized about how she basically would kill her kids.
Oh no.
Yeah. There is a scene that goes into, and obviously her husband had no idea that she was behind any of this, but
Mm-hmm.
he had suspicion because he would be weary of her or like she would make comments about the kids and like he would get upset. Like, why are you talking about our kid like that? Like they're gonna grow, they're gonna get old enough and they're gonna start picking up on the fact that this is how you speak about them.
Mm-hmm.
And he like pointed that out in a certain part. And she always talked about like she's constantly talking about how much she like loves sucking his dick and like how because of these babies, like she no longer can because he's so engulfed in being a father that she like doesn't have all this free time in the world to suck his cock. Is like literally in her journal entries. Like this
Funny.
horned up lady that is like basically being portrayed as like getting rejected or like he's just like she's just so busy taking care of the children that like she just has no time
Mm.
like anymore for like them to be intimate. And it's just like really bizarre. So of course, like as the relationship with Lowen and Jeremy start growing, she's starting to get jealous of Verity's entries about like the sex life that they used to have and the sex life they don't have anymore. And like when Verity would like try to trick him and like have sex when he wasn't really in the mood and things like that. So she was like starting to get jealous of those entries, reading them. But obviously she like the long and short of it, she's like, holy shit, this woman's psychotic and she's like killing her
Yeah.
kids.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
A real issue.
and then there was a scene which was towards the end of the journal entries where there was the canoe and one of the last surviving children or the last surviving twins, um, she basically takes the living child and the last twin out on the canoe without life jackets. The
Oh
canoe
no,
flips, and
God.
she only brings in the surviving one to shore, not the other twin. And then, like, it's so sad. It literally, because like the Audible has
Yeah.
different voices for different characters. And
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of, at first, it's a little distracting because she's trying to make like a little kid voice.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
But
I
then,
understand that.
but during the scene where the canoe happens, she's like making this like whimpery voice of like the kid witnessing his sibling drown.
Oh my God.
And I literally am like, oh my God. Because you put yourself in that position of like, oh my God, I would not even know. And like she is like interact going, all right, now I have to make it look like I really actually care about like, Heather, can you hear me? Where are you? Like pretending that she cares. So she's like, I can't let it come on that I didn't care or that I wasn't calling out for her.
Mm.
And it's just like such a like horrible, horrible thing. And then finally, throughout the book, there's hints that Verity may not really be bedridden. So there's a scene where Lowen is on top, straddling Jeremy in like the common room or the couch. And she looks up and Verity's standing there. And then she's like, she was just there. She was just there. And he's like, of course, like, what are you talking about? She's bedridden. She's upstairs in the hospital bed. And there's like these little hints and nuances to the point where at the end, towards the end, Lowen sets up a baby monitor. And there's like literally throughout her journal entry, she talks about, she's like, oh yeah, I used to just like unplug the baby monitor when Jeremy would go to work and I just let the baby scream and cry so I can get a couple more hours of sleep.
Oh
And
my
she's
God.
like, and then I go get the baby and the baby's voice would be so hoarse from crying for so long. I'm like, it
Mm.
literally is like so heartbreaking to
That's
hear.
really hard to like, I'm sure, listen and to watch
Oh my God.
and read. Whew.
Oh my God. It's a lot, especially like if you actually enjoy being a mother,
Yeah.
which I very wholeheartedly do.
What an interesting book for you to read too, because you like with like, I know like other things might be like trigger warnings, but I know like your sensitivity to like children being harmed. So you're a trooper for getting through that.
I
Wow.
think if I had to read it, I would have probably stopped. But if I, because it was like, I did it
Yeah.
at like 1.3 times speed and I was like checking through.
Mm-hmm.
So basically, after the canoe scene, after the baby monitor setup, then she realizes that Verity did move. Like she was on the floor, on like on her hands and knees, like by the hospital bed that she stays in. And
Mm-hmm.
then she tells Jeremy, and then she actually ends up giving Jeremy the manuscript that or like the journal entries that she gives her. And he like, because he at first, because what happens is Lowen has a knife and she catches her on her hands and knees in there. And so she goes and busts in the room and she's like, I saw you as she's like getting back in the bed. She's like, I
Hmm.
know you're you can hear everything. You're like, because she's like being said that she's a vegetable, like she's not moving. She doesn't know nothing's going on.
Yeah.
Well, that's lies. And then he of course sees her bedside of his wife with a knife. And so he like grabs her and like yanks her out of the room, all of that. And that's when she's like, look, read this, read this. And then he takes the journal entries, reads, and obviously like she's kind of narrating it to the point where she's like, he obviously won't have time to read it all, but I told him to read the last like chapter, the last two chapters, just so he can really understand what kind of woman she really was, blah 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 blah, like going into all of the details, kind of like he needs to know the truth that she killed their children. Oh, and the first one, by the way, totally forgot, just skipped over this. The first one died because they had a peanut allergy and ate peanuts at a
Oh my
sleepover.
God.
And they didn't know until the next morning that the person went in to wake them up and the child was already dead.
Oh, this is horrible. Oh my God.
Horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible. Um, and
Yikes.
so he's in the next room reading, obviously, is what she's assuming. And then all of a sudden he like busts in, skip ahead. He basically not smothers. So they have this scheme of like, not really a scheme necessarily, because she's thinking this whole time, like she is the worst woman ever. And then she's like, no, if you smother her with a pillow, the fibers will be in her throat and it'll be clear that you smothered her with a pillow. You can't strangle her because there's going to be handprints around her neck. So they're literally having this discussion. And she's like, you need to make it seem like she threw, like, choked on her own vomit. And so he shoves her fingers down her throat,
Oh my
and
God.
she turns her head while he's doing this. She basically throws up. He's like, obviously, just going to let her choke to death. And then he'll say, we'll just call the police the next morning. Like she choked in her sleep.
Hmm.
So that's what happened.
Oh my God.
Oh, by the way, at this point, they had slept together because 7 months later, skip ahead, 7 months later, she's pregnant, Lowen.
Uh-huh.
They come back to the house to clear out the last stuff. And then the little boy says something about like, because there was a scene where he had like a knife and he's like, she goes, where'd you get this? She goes, oh, well, mommy told me. And he would make like little comments like that, like, mommy told me this. And she goes, like, told you now? Like, told you today?
Hmm.
And then he like would be like, oh, like realizing like, oh, it was a secret. I shouldn't have said that kind of thing, you know? And so there was, when they went back to the house 7 months later, Verity is dead at this point, to grab some stuff from the house. The little boy is like, oh, I need to go grab something hidden under the in the floor. And she's like, wait, what? And so he's like, yeah, I used to put stuff under the floor in mommy's room.
Oh my God.
And so she's like, what the fuck? So she pulls up one of the boards and there's a letter from Verity to Jeremy. And it says, like, Dear Jeremy, this is where you're like, holy shit. So basically, the letter is all like, when we were sitting down at that dinner, do you remember that dinner? You probably don't. You were completely checked out at that point. You weren't paying attention to me, or the situation at hand. My um, publisher was saying how I need to really dive deep into the darkest thoughts, like dark world of my thoughts, and really like create this book about this horrible woman who kills her kids, who wants to be this like, who's just ravenous with anger and spite and like holding vengeance and all of these angry things. Like you need to just expand on like really what is dark. So
Hmm.
I went into detail about like all these horrible things, and it was really hard because obviously we lost our children, and I um I would never want anything bad to happen to my beautiful, beautiful children, but I use this as a tool to help kind of also heal myself over the, detriment of losing a child. So I thought of the worst possible thing that could happen. So then as she's talking throughout this letter, you realize, oh, this whole, like these chapters she found was completely made up.
Mm-hmm.
This isn't what actually happened. And then in the letter, she even said, she's like, I talked so much about just like always wanting to suck your dick. I wasn't that dick starved. Like how and the fact that in the canoe when we had done it so many times. We've done it literally so many times where, we went out on the boat just for a little on the shore and it never was a big issue ever. And it was an accident and it was the fishing wire that you had accidentally got stuck on a something underneath the water and all of this. And that's what she got stuck on. Otherwise, I would have been able to go back to rescue her. And the way that you looked at me like I did it on purpose, I can't even imagine like doing that to my child, blah, 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 blah. And then she then goes into detail about how, because at the end of her chapters was like, I should really just run myself into a tree. And that's how she got injured and it was bedridden. In her letter, she literally says, like, there's because she wrote this obviously when she was in the vegetable state and she had been pretending. She's like, I can hear you and Lowen, or I can hear you and the woman who's writing the rest of my book, having sex right now in the next room, and you're acting like I can't hear anything.
Ugh.
She's like, I bet you also probably forgot that I remember everything that happened that night that you ran us into a tree. So then it comes out that Jeremy was the driver. And then
Oh no.
she
Yeah.
goes, you duct taped my mouth and tied my hands. And then
Oh no.
and I wasn't wearing a seatbelt. And the last thing I remember was going straight off really fast on the road.
Oh
You
no.
must have moved me into the driver's seat because I'm currently here. And she goes, I do remember that initial like month that I was in the hospital and you caught me once with my eyes open. And I remember you ran out and they just talked it as like, oh, it was just the body's reaction. She's still not like there. So I have been having to pretend this whole time
Just in fear.
out of fear of what you would do next.
Oh
Yeah.
no.
She's like, and then she wrote the letter as if she had gotten away with taking the only surviving child, and rescuing the child. She goes, the reason I had to leave with, I forgot the child's name. The reason I had to leave with him was to keep him safe from you and fear of what you may do. And
No.
then it's like the whole thing at the end was just like, so Lowen doesn't tell him about the letter because she literally is about to have a baby with him.
Yeah.
She's kind of talking herself into the idea that he got driven to this madness because he really definitely in his heart thought that his wife Verity killed their children
Mm-hmm.
when really that wasn't the case. But he had in his head that he was actually trying to protect his only living child at this point by doing this, by
Mm-hmm.
running like because she like he had just been driven to this point. Like this is the end. This is how it kind of has to be. But now like the whole thing is like, which truth is the truth? Was her
Mm-hmm.
chapters really like her real deep dark thoughts and like did she do any of this? Or was it really her publisher saying like you need to write this deep dark like book and this will be a great hit and this will be a great seller and none of it's true.
Yeah, you don't know which one is the truth.
And it kind of
Interest.
just ends up with Loa never tells him about the letter. She is just going to be the stepmom to the only living child
Mm-hmm.
in the end.
Whoa.
Yeah, so
How do you rate it?
I honestly would say 5 out of 5. Like I was on the edge of my seat. It was really, really good. Yes, there were definitely hard parts to hear. You're just like, Jesus,
Yeah.
criminy. But I think overall, one, very much, very much looking forward to the movie. Because how are they? Because like if you watch the trailer, it definitely gives a little bit more, I feel like more heavy on the thriller. Like they laid it on thick because I feel
Yeah.
like when I was reading and slash listening to the book, it gave this, there was some suspenseful moments, but it didn't come across like that heavy on the thriller. So I feel
Okay.
like they really ran with it. So the trailer looks a lot more intense.
It really does. Yeah. Oh, I mean, I'm sorry, I didn't look at the trailer, but just like the cover of the movie,
Yeah.
whatever you call that.
Well,
Look, yeah,
I would even say watch the trailer after this, and
I
then you can
will.
also tell me you're like, wow, they really, yeah, it's going to be like an intense movie. So I'm kind of curious how they actually really portray is Verity going to be this like evil villain the whole time, or is it going to be that like, holy shit, this whole thing that everyone was envisioning and watching at the end, all of a sudden, oh, that was not really real.
Hmm. Yeah. How did they do that? Well, that sounds so cool. I actually really want to watch this now. I'm
Yeah.
glad that I know about like the like kid sensitivity too, right? Because I feel like going into that sometimes you're like, oh my God, especially when it comes to children. So,
Oh my God, yeah.
amazing. Amazing.
Yeah.
Love it.
So
That was fun.
yeah.
Dude.
So again, please give me your psychological thriller recommendations below because I'm definitely thinking I'm going to go that way. I did find a site that says like if you liked Verity, you'll probably like
Yeah.
these
Mhm.
ones. So I think
Sometimes
I
you need a palate cleanser though too, so don't feel like you have to put yourself in a box. Like
no
it's
no no no
okay to read
no.
something totally, you
Okay.
know.
So I put a few on my wish list. Definitely one I want to say is the lighthearted stuff, like off campus,
Yeah.
that whole series very much like college, teenage, that whole thing.
Mhm.
Um, so it's those books. And then because I watched the movie, I was also thinking, should I read The Housemaid's Secret, which is the second one, and that the movie is going to come out.
Oh. Hmm. Yeah, that could be fun.
So it's another thriller. So I'm gonna probably flip a coin there and just be like, all right, should I do a thriller or should I do more lighthearted? Because I love the off-campus series so much. So we shall see next month when I decide, and I will decide after. I'll probably do it after our camping trip because what I'm thinking is I'll start reading it in the car on the way to Oregon when the kids are asleep.
There you go.
When they
Yeah.
fall asleep, I'll put it on, and when they wake up, I'll put music back on.
Love it.
So, well,
Yay. That's
thank
it,
you.
I
Yes. Thank you
guess.
for hanging out with us. Like, subscribe, follow, and we'll see you
Yep.
next month for our next episode. And it'll be continuation of the Fourth Wing series,
Yep.
collective series, and then me. It's a surprise.
Surprise.
Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.